Anyway, Paul Hamilton joining us here. Sabres fall in overtime to the Boston Bruins. Paul, you'll excuse me. There was just a segment on ESPN's Get Up that is just.
His mind is blown right now.
I'm just shaken to my core about the scary truth Mike Tenenbaum has revealed about the Bills, which is
really
yes. One of these.
So that thing with Lindy didn't even rate on your radar.
Well, I was
over here laughing.
Imagine that something happens and you just can't focus on anything else for a moment because of what Mike Tenenbaum said about the Bills. I'll just lay it out for you very quickly.
Very good comedic timing by Lindy there, though.
Yes, very good for Lindy. And we'll get to the Sabres. They're scary truths about AFC contenders and Mike Tenenbaum's take, which I expected was the Bills are going to need to do something or their Super Bowl chances are over. And he did say that. But he said, unless the Bills get either Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson, the Bills' Super Bowl window this year, it's over, and I'm just stunned.
Well, is their pass rush the third best thing on the team right now?
It's not bad at all, and they got to get Max Crosby or Hendrickson or else it's all over, so I'm just shaken by that. Anyway, Paul.
Did Josh Allen retire?
Max Crosby, Trey Hendrickson. They need a top 4 pass rusher or else it's all over. Okay. Anyway.
Well, let me tell you what Lindy said after the microphones were off. He looks back. He goes, I think tomorrow I'll have to show up with my resume or Paul may not talk to me.
Right.
Well,
see, I try to bring your questions to the head coach, and look at what happened.
Well, he also answered it, I think, in pretty much the same way you had answered it yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's and the reason I answered it that way is just because the way he handled it last year when he decided in the last month that we're playing like we've got something to play for, and each game is going to be treated like we put out the lineup that we think is the best lineup to win a hockey game, and it was James Reimer in that almost on a nightly basis, like a guy that was 37 years old and wasn't part of the future of the Buffalo Sabres. So, that's why I was pretty confident that that's, what he's thinking. It's just like today, this goaltender gets now. Could he say now, with what he saw from Lyon last night, that there might be a little fatigue in his game, and that might make him think, well, Ellis in the next game on Saturday might be the best chance to win a hockey game. That he's got to start giving Lyon some, a little bit of rest from time to time.
It was a rough game for Lyon, right?
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, it was the same old thing though. On the one goal, he left in the crease there, got under him, and then the puck went through him, and it was laying in the crease. It'd be nice if the guy standing next to the guy who scored the goal, and I've been saying this all year long. It's just the middle. Timmins did knock him down, but after he scored, knock him down before he scores, and then he's got no chance of scoring. That's the point. Just knock him down. Cover the guy. You're standing with him. Cover him. So in Montreal, we're two Sabres, Samuelson and Kulik, were standing there watching the guy. I mean, the goaltender has to know that you've got his backside, that, if he overplays a play or something like that, that somebody's there on the back post or wherever it might be. And it was just slow to react. And he did knock the guy down, but he already put the puck in the net. It's just, things like that. Yeah, Lyon didn't look good there. Do I want to save in overtime? It's not easy, and I keep saying that. The Tavares breakaway, not easy. Mm-hmm. But the Florida Panthers, when they're in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals and it's in overtime, they get that save. The team that wins gets that save. And right now the Sabres aren't getting that save, and some of their better players are making the big mistake that are costing them, overtimes and hockey games, and that's a bit of a problem too, because guys, we got to bottom line this. They played really well last. They came out of the chute and played really well. They got goalied, and they not only did they outshoot them 40-22, they severely outhit the Bruins. They severely outblock shot the Bruins. They did everything but beat the Bruins, and that unfortunately is the bottom line. You didn't win the hockey game, even though you dominated in every aspect of it, except on the scoreboard.
Yeah. Expected goals 5-on-5 is like 3-1 Sabres. Like they definitely were the better team in this game. Paul, it is I mean, if you want to take an encouraging sign from that, you see some nice encouraging signs. That if there's one silver lining I still might want to get to, it's like an overarching theme that they're staying afloat, if one would call this afloat, with Tage and Dahlin just still not being superstars, I don't think. Still not being at the top of their game.
Well, and they're at the scene of the crime on the overtime goal.
Right.
Yeah, and before Dahlin scored, he had put a wide open chance over the net from the right in front, and right after that, he missed a wide open net and shot it wide. But he did finally come through on the power play to score. But that's when the next goal made it 3-1 that I just talked about a few minutes ago. But they didn't blink. It was 3-1, and they still came back, scored a couple of nice goals in the third period. I liked what Krebs did at 3-2 after Doan scored. It was like a minute after Doan scored. Eyssimont, dumb, just stupid. Your team is ahead by a goal, but you decide, well, let me challenge Peyton Krebs, and Krebs wins the fight. Well, I look over at the Sabre bench. They're electrified by the whole thing. It's like, why did Eyssimont give Krebs that chance to really get everybody even more keyed up than they were? And sure enough, Alex Tuck, again, that was a nice play by Dahlin, on the wall there, sending Tuck in. Tuck scores, ties the game. But then Jordan Greenway at 18:43 of the third period takes a tripping penalty. You cannot take that penalty. And Lindy Ruff mentioned it after the game. He's been on them about those penalties in the last 5 minutes, but they killed it off. But what they did do, though, is Buffalo never had a chance in overtime. The two overtimes before this, they were the better team in overtime, had the puck for most of overtime, had glorious opportunities by the guys you'd want to have glorious opportunities, and then the other team got the puck and had their one opportunity and scored. This was different. They had to kill the penalty in overtime. Did a really, really good job. Samuelson was great last night. He really had a good game, and he was a big part of that penalty kill. But the thing is, while you're killing a penalty in overtime, you're not down in the other end, putting pressure on or have a chance to get that goal. And they just had gotten the 4-on-4 to the 3-on-3. It's the face-off in Buffalo zone. So they have to start off with two defensemen, which I think is the right thing to do. So Timmins and Samuelson are out there with Thompson. They get the puck. Well, Thompson has to rag the puck while those two defensemen get off and they get the guys on the ice that they want. And that's when Dahlin wound up with the puck. And he said afterwards, he said, I know better. He goes, it's the ice is bad. Mm-hmm. You've played the whole game on the ice. It didn't get cleaned. You're going 1-on-3, trying to make a play happen. And as Lindy said, the play is to just take the puck, bring it out of the zone, and reload, not try to go through three guys. And he knew it. He was very upset with himself that he did that, but that doesn't get you the 2 points. It only gets you the 1 point. And, that's kind of the point there, that it just seems like, especially in the overtimes where they're getting the point, which is good. That was a criticism I had before, is they're not getting these games to overtime to get I'm still going to call them the loser point. I'm sorry, but to get the loser point. But they're not. They're getting the golden opportunity to get the win, and in the 2 out of the 3 games, and they didn't. And here they are. They've played the Boston Bruins twice in October and picked up 1 out of 4 points against a team coming in that had lost 7 out of 9 games. Just
putting this out there for Lindy's 6 out of every 10 points. You go 1-0-4, that does the job.
Yeah, it does.
That's 6.
So it's going to feel annoying.
Another positive is what do we got here now? They have points in
7 of 8.
7 out of 8 games.
Yeah.
That's a positive.
It's staying afloat.
That I figured out the percentage in my article, and of course I can't remember. It's 6 something, like 650 something or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever I wrote in the article. That's a good points percentage. If you have that points percentage all year, you're in.
Yeah,
you'll be fine.
It is. I kind of asked this yesterday a little bit too, Paul. Like, if they go to a lot of overtime games, though, they're going to have to figure out ways to win some of them. So do you feel like they are just kind of like there are these dumb mistakes? The Dahlin play yesterday, you're right. Like he's got 1-on-3. It almost looks like he's gonna do the right thing, which is just go to the wall and wait for your teammates, and then he pulls it back to try to toe drag the guy.
Yeah.
So is it just these one-off mistakes? Is there something they should be doing differently in 3-on-3? Do you feel like they just will eventually get the results if they play enough overtimes?
Well, the other two, they were pressing, and I want to see them go for it in overtime. I don't want to see them sit back. They were pressing. The other two was the reason they lost is because the golden opportunities they set up for themselves they didn't convert on, and they had the right guys with the golden opportunities. That's where they lost those games, and then they gave up one chance because when you go for it, which I think is the right thing to do. If you fail and lose the puck, you got an outnumbered coming the other way. So
and
that's
when you're the
your
defenseman,
goaltender has to make a big save.
And when you're the defenseman there, which Darlene would know, he's the only defenseman out there. I don't know that Jack Quinn did anything wrong, but you're putting a guy in a tough spot to have to defend a 3 or a 2-on-1.
I
who's
think
not
Quinn
used
played
to
that
doing
perfectly.
Yeah,
Quinn played that perfectly because he prevented the pass. That's the tap-in layup.
Right.
You're not going to be able to. So the same thing earlier in the game on Pasternak. Byram played that perfectly. He didn't give Pasternak that pass over across the ice for the layup. Now, that was just a world-class player making a move on the goaltender. He just did a little bit of a move to make Lyon think he was going to pass. It was such a slick play. But again, that was a turnover by McLeod, who was supposed to be their best two-way center, and he turns it over to one of the most gifted goal scorers in the world, and he comes down. And he got Lyon moving because he got him to believe that the pass was going to come across, and he snapped it in. And the first goal was because Jason Zucker was at his own blue line, decided to go cross ice, give the puck away. Darlene's not expecting to have to defend. Well, all of a sudden he gives the puck away. Now Darlene has to defend. He winds up tripping the guy, and Geekie scores on the power play. Nothing Lyon can do on that shot. He put that under the bar and next to the post, right where it connects. I mean, that was just a shot that was unbelievable. But again, he was wide open and took the shot, and it was a turnover that led to the penalty that led to the goal. And we're not talking about rookies here that are doing these things. Jordan Greenway's penalty didn't cost them, but it cost them valuable time in overtime that they had to waste killing penalties that they weren't trying to score a goal in a 3-on-3 type of a situation. So the little things that happened in that game, that's what they have to clean up. But I thought Quinn did exactly. That's the old thing, the 2-on-1. The defenseman takes the pass away, and the goaltender's got the shooter. Mm-hmm. And you need a save there. You need your goal. Lyon knows he's got the shooter. And, he didn't do it. Same thing on the Pasternak one. Again, you got one of the most gifted goal scorers in the world coming down. And I just thought, what a move he put on to make everybody think he was going to pass. Even Byram thought he was going to pass it. You saw him move to block the pass. Well, it never came. Byram was where he was supposed to be. As I said, he played it perfectly. But, the Pasternak one I can understand. But this one, goaltender's got the shooter. He's got to make a save.
Paul Hamilton, his appearance brought to you by Raylax Honda. Raylax, we got this. Thanks, Paul.
Okay, take care.
It is still a Football Friday. We'll get back to your calls on the Bills and the Chiefs. Football Friday, a big one this week.